Faith,
Yes.
you work in a bank setting, and banks handle sensitive information. How have you guys been able to work from home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For banks specifically, I may not be in a very good place to speak for the bank right now. But what I can see from the communication, at least I've seen, like I mentioned maybe earlier, we've almost shifted to a full BCP mode. But even in that spectrum, I think the work-home arrangements are limited to staff who sort of who don't have access to very sensitive information, because you really want to make sure that is not compromised.
Yeah.
So by letting go of staff, rather allowing them to work from home, the staff who don't need access to confidential information, you create more space to allow for the essential staff to still work with the much required social distancing. So you reassign them to the spaces where some of us used to sit, just to allow for that sort of social distancing to keep them safe. But for information we can access from home, I think we've been well enabled to be able to access systems that do not require such high level of confidentiality.
Yeah.
And I think this is across most banks, if I may say. So you only limit the work-home arrangement to staff who don't really require access to such information. And if you really have to access it, then you're advised to do it within bank premises. So because, again, you don't have a lot of staff within the office, there are enough spaces for anyone who wishes to pop in to access something to just come in and do so.
Yeah. What's like the ratio of essential staff and non-essential staff? Because everything has come down to essential.
I know. Honestly, I wouldn't have the figure top of my head. But if you look at it, I'll probably want to maybe look at it. You have the business side and the support. The business and the support. Yes. So for businesses, and banks are all about relationship management. Honestly, you really don't have to be physically in the office to be able to do some things, right? But like I said, yes, at this point it's really hard to quantify just that proportion of essential to non-essential staff for the bank specifically. Yeah, but for most of the customer facing, of course you can have a teller go home. But again, what banks and with the support of central bank has done is maybe to fire up their online systems to make sure a lot of transactions can be done online, so you don't have people coming to the branch where you actually need staff to be there to serve them. So it's actually bare minimal number of staff in the office. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And you, as one of the members of Nairobi Securities Exchange within the subsidiary of the bank, how has it been to be on the other side of what he was talking about?
What he was talking about, yes. As a licensed investment bank, or as a a listed entity?
As a participant who enables investors to invest in the stock market. Okay,
honestly, I think at this point, that might not, I may not have capacity to answer that question. Why? Because for now, I sit pretty much on the global market side other than the investment team. So I might not have that much preview of what's happening on the investment side. So I don't want to say something that might not be factually correct at this point. But I'm sure he's interacted with them.
Yes. Our customers.
Yes.
Interact with them. I can confirm to you that NCBA is very happy. So one of the things that we have done is number one, again, we have ensured that we are at the point where these companies and our members are publish their results. And they were required by law to publish that in 2 in 2-day papers of national circulation. So because we are alive to the fact that this may have impacted our business as an industry, and through our regulator CMA, that has been relaxed, and now they are supposed to file their returns through the NSE directly and post the same through the NSE website and CMA website and their own website. That is affecting the intermediaries and the listed entities, and that means that from a cost point of view, these companies will be able to reallocate that cost to someone else under the circumstance. Because as you would appreciate, posting such results in a paper of national circulation would have come with some costs, and we have been able to, advise them depending on their capacity, because as she rightly put it, not everyone is at the same level. So everyone is being looked at on their own soup. So if you feel you still want to proceed and have these results, say for purposes of publicity or any other reason, you can proceed, but the authorities have relaxed that in the interest of what has happened. That means that as investors, you will still be able to access that information through the channels that have been provided. As an issuer or as a trading participant, you save that cost. So it's a win-win for everyone, and that's why as NSE, CMA, we are supporting our participants to ensure that we remain afloat under these circumstances. Number two, if you remember, speaking of now the investor side of things, and I must confirm, is like 2019. We didn't know, but probably we were preparing for this crisis. Because in July of last year, this market, being the second in Africa, launched the derivatives market. Now, we did not know that a few months down the line, we will have a bear run. The way the derivatives market works is that they can be used, and you'll appreciate this, as hedging tools.
That's true.
So we see that is one of the tools that we have given the investors to be able to hedge their positions, so that if there is pressure on the spot side of things, where you bought a security at X, and given how the market has performed, there is pressure of about 20%, you can take a counter position on the derivative side of things, and you have hedged your position. So we probably want to encourage investors. The timing cannot be better now for them to play on the derivative side of things to hedge their portfolio. So you can see we have tried to cater for all sort of investors and participants in that chain, most importantly the investors, who we think that, last year this market was ranked as the best performing market in Africa. Now the best performing market has lost about 30%. As an investor, what would you do? So these are some of the things that we are encouraging investors to come and take advantage of.
And it's a good point you've actually brought about the discussion of derivatives, which was supposed to help us to protect our downside. What has been the uptake of derivatives in this very aggressively bearish environment?
There's a report that was issued by the exchange at the end of last quarter. And under the circumstance, the derivative market is showing that whoever got in that quarter has made not less than 30%. And those are facts under the report. So to your point, what we need to do now is for the investors to flip and go and take advantage of it, because it's actually working, right? To your point around what has been the appetite, we have seen a lot of support from the local investors, and as they say, it's the fast movers who take advantage of anything. So we think it's not late for other entrants to come into the market, because the one who already have the foot and the skin in the game, they're already making something, when on the other side, we're saying that probably there's a challenge. If you look at it, the 20-30% we are speaking of on the derivatives market is the same much we are speaking of around the losing on the spot market. So the party who is on both sides of the coin, they have actually hedged their position. There's no problem. So we want to call the pension investors, the collective investment schemes, including NABO Capital, to come and take advantage of that market, because it is one of the tools that is going to assist us. as we move through the pandemic and post the pandemic to hedge our portfolios.
Yeah. So does this present the opportunity to practically illustrate to players in the market on the importance of using derivatives as a tool? And is there something that we're going to see from the Securities Exchange towards that education drive? Because I think the moment is now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%, and I think it's also a good challenge to us that the timing can never be better for us now to go to market with publicity.
That's true.
Because Q1 of this year demonstrates how we can be able to use that market as a tool to hedge our portfolio. So to your point, I know there's a lot of work that is being done by the exchange, and this being the second or so week after the first quarter, we'll see a lot of educational materials through the social media around how this market works, so that we can all take advantage of it, because it's indeed a good tool and it's going to assist us as we move forward in terms of the investment.
As you rightfully say, I think it's a very important instrument, especially when you have a heightened uncertainty like we do right now. I think the general belief is Africa, and let me speak specifically, Kenya is still behind the COVID curve, which means we could see the worst before it actually gets better. And so there's indeed an opportunity for you to aggressively now, because I think the low uptake has been just a lot of investors are either unaware or they are still somewhat skeptical of just how it operates. So this is certainly a good time for you to come strongly and just tell guys, you know, this is actually good for this market, and especially now that I guess, as you said, business models are going to evolve, right? And we'll have a lot more businesses and countries looking inwards just to sort of limit the sort of shocks we've seen from the over-reliance in China. So there's got to be a lot of evolution which will make sure we see sustained volatility in markets going forward, right? And even just from an epidemiological perspective, I think the fact that yes, we are behind the curve, it's still uncertain how this whole thing will certainly evolve. So it could be around for another 6+ months, right? And it's that period where I personally would really want to know how to hedge the little I still have. So certainly the noise would be really welcome at this point.